Hey, everybody, we are live. Wow, and I got this is great. Look at this. We are live here at the IAM 360 studio, live in Atlanta. I am here with my friend Mark Gray from Movers Search Group, probably the most well-known recruiter in the moving business, has been for decades. Mark, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here.
Welcome South, brother.
Man, it's great. And this is a home game for you. You're hosting this shindig here in Atlanta.
It's an easy drive for me.
This is great, man. First of all, it's great having you here.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about talent, about recruitment, the war for talent. What does that look like in the moving industry, which has been a talent-constrained space for so long? You know, you've been doing this for a long time, and I'm going to get into that too. Yeah. Get in the comments right now. Hit that like button right now if you got questions about recruitment, about finding opportunities. If you want to lob a resume at Mark, you know, go for it. Get in there, hit that like button. Mark, how long have you been in this business?
Probably 28 years now.
Wow.
28 years.
Wow. And how'd you get into the moving biz?
I grew up in it. My dad was with Beacons for like 40 years.
Wow.
And I grew up playing in the warehouse. When I was old enough to work in summers, packed, drove a little bit when I got my chauffeur's license.
Wow.
And now I'm recruiting for movers. I love it.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. And I got to say this too, Mark. My first exposure to you, I remember this, was having the good fortune of getting on your newsletter.
Okay.
Which is one of the best pieces of, I want to say marketing, but also just like intel in the biz. You know, getting to see who went where. I mean, this was kind of before LinkedIn would give you the updates. I mean, you get Mark Gray's newsletter, you know, monthly, quarterly, whatever, and it would be like so-and-so switched to here, so-and-so, maybe somebody passed away, maybe somebody retired, you know, and it was just, so maybe it was a little scuttlebutt or something.
Yep.
How'd you get started doing that newsletter? Because I absolutely adore that newsletter.
Well, you hit on it. Initially, it was a marketing issue for me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get my name out, and the best way to do it was to start emailing with movers. Of course, when I first started, email was still kind of in its infancy, I guess.
Wow.
So I would manually enter one email address at a time, and eventually grew the mailing list from like 50 movers up to now that go out to like 13,000 different professionals.
13,000 professionals. 13,000 professionals. That's incredible network. So I've heard somebody say your net worth is your network, or your network is your net worth. 13,000 people on your email list. That's incredible. What have you seen over the years? So I do some recruitment here at Global, but we're fairly new to the space, you know. But you've been doing it 28 years. What have you seen change over those almost 3 decades?
The candidates are more sophisticated today.
Oh. What do you mean by that?
They know what they want walking into the situation. They don't look to me so much for the direction, like, what do I need to ask for? What's the situation? What's the culture of this company? They already know for the most part. Movers, for better or worse, have good or bad reputations. The savvy candidates of today know what they're walking into. They know who they want to talk to, who they don't want to talk to. And
what do you attribute that shift to?
The internet.
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I'll give you a lot of credit. You've taken the promotion of the mobility industry and now recruitment. By the way, welcome to the world of recruitment.
Thank you. I appreciate you paving the path there.
But they're more savvy. They're more up to date what's going on. And it's a pleasure right now dealing with a lot of candidates that have that knowledge. Although I'm sure you're finding out the same thing. It's more difficult now to find good talent than it's ever been.
Is that now? Yes, it is. I mean, I can't say that it's ever been, because I've been doing this for 2 years or a year.
Yeah.
So you know kind of more about what's happened in the past, but it feels that way. I hear that a lot. Is that good for business? Is that good for the recruitment business or not?
Well, two-edged sword here. The good part is get
and by the way, we've got questions coming in, so get in the comments, put your question there, hit that like button. If you got a question for Mark Gray at Mover Search Group or myself, put it in there. We got questions. Hannah, I see you. We're going to get to that. Put your questions in. We're going to be talking about recruitment in the moving industry, how to stand out, how to get that job. If you're a client company or a moving company that wants to hire people, let us know if you have questions out there. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
The good part is I've got more job orders to fill open positions than I've ever had before.
More jobs than we know what to do with.
The bad part is I can't fill them all.
Yes. And how frustrating is that?
Frustrating, and it's even more frustrating for the clients who are begging you for good talent. It's just tough. Ever since post-COVID, it's changed the atmosphere of the recruiting industry completely.
Has that increased? I mean, that supply and demand, imbalance, has that created increased wages? Have you seen wages go up?
Slightly, but not to the extent that you would think.
Yes.
Although on some of the management positions, like general managers now, I've got like $150,000 GM roles in small markets.
$650,000. This guy's got $900,000 worth of jobs he's sitting on for GM roles,
and I don't have candidates.
And he doesn't have candidates for him. Can you please help this man out, okay? And help a good moving company. Well, it's got to drive you bonkers, man.
The industry for years has had trouble with finding labor and finding drivers. Those are the two areas I do not recruit. It's just impossible for me to do that.
Yeah, that's herding cats.
But now you've got coordinators that are at a demand, international coordinators.
Yes, international coordinators.
They're all screaming at us for international coordinators. And these people are finding they're getting higher salaries now because the demand's going up. Plus, with the advent of COVID, everybody wants to work virtually now.
And are they being allowed to work remotely? Because a lot of moving companies are kind of funny about this. Some are, all in the office. Some are like, hey, we're going to go find the best. We had Don Goldberg here from Gridiron Forwarding. He's like, I'm hiring people in Arkansas. I'm hiring people in Louisiana, going out find the best and brightest wherever they may be. What are you seeing from an attitude around remote work?
Movers traditionally were against remote workers.
Yeah.
COVID changed all that. It opened their eyes when they decided they had to hire people and work from home. They found out that it worked. They found out they could do coordinating from home. They could do claims from home, customer service.
Yep.
You can't do, even long distance dispatching can be done remotely.
Sure.
But you can't replace a hands-on operations manager, a
like
dispatcher.
Someone running a warehouse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those are tough positions to fill these days.
Yeah, super, super tough. And there's moving companies in every town, and yet there's not moving talent in every town. Exactly. That's hard. We've got a question from Hannah. Keep these questions coming. I love questions from our viewers. Keep those coming. Hit that like button. We're going to get to your questions. Hannah says, Hannah Sadat, and Hannah, let me know where you're from as well. She says, how can a candidate stand out in a crowded applicant pool?
Have a great LinkedIn profile, first of all.
Yes. Go through a recruiter. Because don't we cut to the top of the stack? I mean, seriously. I mean, you go on Indeed and put a job out there, right? You get 100 Costco cashiers, right?
Right.
I mean, nobody wants to sort through that. If Mark sends the resume in, I got to believe that's the first one they're looking at.
Right, right. Exactly. That's a good question, Hannah. To be on top of the candidate pool, be persistent. A lot of times, I'm guilty of it as much as any other recruiter. We don't always get back to our candidates as quickly as we should.
It's tough.
Be the squeaky wheel, if not on the phone, at least via text message or email, just to keep you at the forefront of my recruiting efforts.
I agree. I mean, we're super busy. We're scrambling like crazy to take care of all these roles. And you have to manage us a little bit too.
Exactly.
We're going to be an amazing tool in your toolkit. We're going to be amazing advocates for you to get you to the top of the stack, to get you top compensation, to get you that great fit. But you got to manage us too.
Exactly. And one way to make yourself stand out from my perspective is be honest with me up front. Tell me where you've applied to already before you've picked up the phone or emailed me or you.
Yeah.
Because many times we find out, we think it's a great candidate. We get the resume, we do a little profile, we start calling up clients who may have a need. If they want to see the resume, we submit it to them. And then they say, oh, this person already applied to us 6 months ago.
Right.
Try to avoid that at all costs.
Oh, and that's the interesting thing is I had this happen. They applied 6 months ago. They're in the system, but nobody from the company ever reached out to them. They're a great candidate, but it wasn't until we called that they even got something tripped something in the system. Maybe they had turned over their HR staff. Maybe they just weren't looking in the moment because they keep them in the system, but they don't file back through them. They just put a new job up and see who comes back in the door.
Exactly. And that's called the but-for situation. If they hire a candidate that is already in the system, but they didn't actually act on the candidacy of that individual until you, the recruiter, approached them with it, and they said, oh, we had them in the system already, but they wouldn't have hired that candidate but for the actions of the recruiter. There's a lot of legal issues on that, but
tell me about the but for.
Yeah, but
wherefore art thou?
But you can get paid, and you do have a legitimate claim to the fee if the hire is directly a result of your presenting the candidate to them.
I'm learning something. I don't care who's watching out there. I'm learning something. Hit that like button if you got any comments or questions about how to stand out, how to get that great job, or what's going on in talent.
Let me ask you a question, Ben.
Yeah.
What do you like best about recruiting?
Oh my gosh. You know what I love about it? I'm a purpose guy.
Yeah.
And by the way, I applaud a lot of the stuff I've seen you putting out and a lot of the stuff around scholarships that you're doing, especially in honor of your father.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that stuff. And thank you for doing that. I'm a big purpose person. I feel like I need to be making a difference. First and foremost, there's a lot of ways to make a dollar. But I think recruitment is so special because the candidate gets a better job. The client company gets a great candidate they needed to do business. And then we get paid. I mean, it's a true win-win-win situation.
Absolutely.
And everybody makes out in the deal. And I love that about it.
That's a good point. That's one of the good things. There's an old TV show that you're too young to remember called The Millionaire. When I first got into this and I was getting new candidates a substantial increase in their salary, or they had a really terrible situation or employer, and they got a new job through me, I felt like I was the guy handing out the check.
Yes.
And it's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling, and then we don't always see this, but behind every acceptance is a big ripple throughout their family. They're nervous, they're excited, they got the job, and maybe they buy a new car or they change in lifestyle, their kid, has a better outcome. I mean, all sorts of ripple effects that come from us making those connections, and it jazzes me up, man.
What I appreciate about what you folks have been doing at Glomo and your broadcast, which everybody in the industry just can't wait to see.
Thanks.
You are raising the bar in your field, and now my field, the recruiting field, by putting a face to the recruiter, talking about talent, talking about ethics, talking about the overall picture of the good that we do. We're slowly coming out of the mud from the pirate, headhunter, names that we used to be called.
Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't really aware of that stigma, if you will, when I got into it. It wasn't until afterwards. It may have changed my mind about getting into it, to be honest with you. But I think we all have a say in our reputation.
Exactly.
And this goes out for movers and recruiter. I mean, because movers have a black eye too, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think we all have a say in our reputation and what people say about us, right? I mean, so I appreciate what you're saying there. And I think we have an opportunity to lead and really kind of control our own destiny, and that's true for the economy. I mean, is it a recession? Well, it's like, are we going to act like it's a recession? Then we're going to cause a recession, right? Are we going to act like we're not reputable and slink around and be shady, or are we going to be out front and be talent partners, And I think there's amazing opportunities for us in recruitment and also to partner. I mean, there's, I had Louise Neal from Easy Tiger on. She's over in the UK last week when we were at ERC. Big fan of what Mark does. Probably wouldn't be here without you, because I mean, to my knowledge, you were really the first guy doing recruitment in the moving business. It wasn't a thing.
I got into it, like I said, 28 years ago. There was a gentleman that was recruiting at the time.
Okay.
He had, unfortunately, the reputation of placing a candidate with a client and taking that same candidate 6 months down the road or a year down the road and putting him somewhere else. All I had to do when I got on the scene was to play ethically.
Yeah.
You know, don't pick from your clients'
Mm-hmm.
personnel. If you make a placement
Yeah.
with a company, you can't touch their people anymore.
Yeah.
Just play by the book, play ethically. That's why the IAM is such a good organization, because
Yes.
they validate the movers that join, they validate the recruiters that
Yeah.
join. And when you're dealing with an IAM member, you're dealing with an ethical member.
Yeah. I mean, just to join, you have to have letters of recommendation.
Exactly.
I mean, basic stuff, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, to get on the IAM trusted website, I mean, there's vetted, and then of course, you know, you show up here, and then people, you know, make a judgment based on getting to know you. So
Exactly.
I love that too. It is a very
Yeah.
ethical organization, and it has to be, because we're doing business halfway around the world, and I'm sending all the household goods for a VIP to someone I've met once over a beer, or maybe not at all.
Exactly.
There's a lot of trust riding on that. Or if a candidate who's a GM level person, 6-figure person working 30 years in this business, reaches out to you confidentially
Absolutely.
to say, I'm thinking about making a change, that's a lot of trust they're putting in you.
It is. And if your reputation is one that just plays fast and loose with the confidentiality or the identities of the candidates that you're trying to recruit, you won't last long in this business.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm a big fan of celebrating my own failures and challenges, and learning from those things, right? I mean, I had an issue with that early on, right?
Mhm.
Where we didn't come out and say, you know, necessarily the client we were representing, but we included too many pieces of information. So it's like, and this isn't the situation, but let's say and I'm looking at DeWitt over here, so we're just going to pick on. If I say, you know, moving company with offices in Guam and Hawaii, you know, forwarder and agent, you know, and if I'm putting too many pieces of the puzzle together for them, and they wanted it to be anonymous because maybe it's a strategic level position, or
Exactly.
right? Say they want to replace Jeff Nadeau or something like that, right? Hey Jeff, how you doing, buddy? I just always give Jeff a hard time. Love you, man. But you know, so yeah. So anyway, and I had to call the CEO and say, listen, you know what? I'm totally sorry. My bad. I learned.
Yeah, you won't do that again.
And no, I'm never going to do it again.
No.
None of my team's ever going to do it again. We learned from
It's
it.
happened. You know, it happened to me early on too.
Yeah.
And but you do learn from that. And confidentiality is the only way we can survive as recruiters.
Yeah, 100%. What other tips do you have for companies out there? I know we talked a little bit. Oh, look at Danny. Danny's coming on here. Danny's saying, agree, Mark. Our job as a recruiter is also to bring candidates to our clients' attention, even if they are in the system. And he says, thank you for leading the way for us recruiters in this industry, Mark.
Oh, thank you, Danny. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're big fans, man. We're big fans over Global.
I think one of the things that companies can do to help recruit is to incentivize their own people.
Yes.
You don't always have to use a recruiter. In the moving industry, I don't need to tell your audience out there that there's a lot of moving around in the moving industry. People jump from job to job occasionally. Well, they make a lot of contacts during all their prior jobs.
Yes, they do.
If you go to your current employees and say, look, we need help in this arena, this area, whatever, we will give you a bonus if you bring somebody to our attention that we hire. That's an effective way to recruit internally.
Huge, you know, and yeah, I mean, I'm surprised companies don't do that more often.
Yeah.
You know, it's I mean, I guess I'm happy they don't, because I mean, you know, it helps us, right? But I mean, they're willing to pay us a fee, but not pay their own people $500 or whatever to do it. So that's a great one. That's a really great one. What about, you know, you talked a little bit about reputation and everything, and reputation is so key in this business, and we all have one, right? What's important about creating a great employment brand, right? A brand where reputation, where people want to come work there. Any advice to companies out there?
We can give a great example of one of the major sponsors of IAM here, JK Moving Services.
Yeah.
Most of the people in your audience know the reputation of JK. That's a company that, quite frankly, has people applying to them from other companies every day. They occasionally do need a recruiter. I understand that, but Chuck Kuhn and his people have built a brand that attracts the top level talent.
Yeah.
I would just say, simple answer, emulate JK and companies like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would also go on to say too, getting in touch with another company I'm really impressed with was TMM, Total Military Management.
Mhm.
and they have the most amazing bench of, I shouldn't say bench because they're all in the game, but they have an amazing pipeline of talent within their organization.
Right.
And they do a great job of bringing people from outside the industry who are high potential logistics graduates from the University of North Florida, which has a very strong logistics program right in their backyard there in Jacksonville. And they're very entrenched there at that organization. And in Dallas, UTD, University of Texas at Dallas, has a nice supply chain program, international business. So I would say also look at your local university and don't just go to the career fair, but reach out to the business school or whatever, or supply chain or logistics, speak, start to develop real friendships and relationships there. They'll give you an opportunity to sponsor the logistics club for $500 a year. Do
Absolutely.
it,
Absolutely.
because we know in this business, you get in this business, you stay in this business 10, 20, 30 years. Go get yourself a brand new 30-year employee, high potential, and take your business to the next level.
Ben, you hit on it when you said hiring people from outside the industry. That's
Super
been
hard.
movers traditionally had the tunnel vision.
Yep.
They only wanted people that had experience within the industry. I've been making a case. I know you make the case. Let's broaden the spectrum here. Let's look for people outside. Movers can get logistics people or general freight people or other talented individuals that can easily adapt and learn the ins and outs of a particular industry like the moving industry.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
You don't have to just recruit for, let's face it, that's one of the reasons that we have a job.
Yes, sir.
Is because companies want to hire people who are plug and play, not a lot of training, have done it before. They don't have to teach them the difference between a 1.5 and a 3.0, that kind of stuff. But if you just do a little more work on the front end, they'll be less expensive up front because you're paying a premium for that experience, because you gotta poach from somebody else. That means you got to pay more than your competition.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, paying more than your competition is not always a very sustainable business model.
Absolutely.
Right? We're over here beating up Chris Lappy moving supplies on the box price, but then you're going to go pay 20% more for the talent at the agent next door, right?
Exactly.
So that's not sustainable, right?
Right.
So you get a discount on the talent. Yeah, invest a little bit of time in training. Let's be honest, moving companies aren't great at training. We have enough trouble training our drivers and help versus training our coordinators and everything that we hire every couple of years.
Yeah.
But I'd say invest that time in the training. That's really key. We got questions coming in here. Alan Molesky says, always good to see my good old friend Mark. Super cool. Thank you, Alan.
Good to see you.
Hit that like button. If you got any questions or comments, we'll take a couple here. Let's see here. Nithe Moran says, I am from a mechanical engineering background, and I'm working as a supervisor in a global mobility company. Is there additional studies or courses that need to be done to develop my career? Kindly advise.
That's your sweet spot.
I love this time slot because we're getting people from, the UK, India. This is super cool. Yeah, great question. Love the technical background. That tells me that you can learn anything. If you can learn mechanical engineering, my sister was a mechanical engineer. I would say your career is what you make it. So you can continue doing your job now at the level you're at now with the qualifications you have now. If you want to take it to the next level, if I was, and I don't know what type of global mobility company, feel free to put it in there. It might give me a little more context. But if I was to give you maybe a 5-year plan to run the place, I would go to get some more certifications from industry associations, right? So if you're on a moving side, there's some certifications through IAM and some training that you can do where you actually kind of get badges. They're starting to badgification of those things. But then I'd also go to, like, say, Worldwide ERC. So Worldwide ERC has the CRP, the Certified Relocation Professional. It also has the GMS, the Global Mobility Specialist role, depending if you're more U.S. or international. If you're more international, the GMS would be for you.
Right.
Then there's the GMS-T, the GMS Talent. So, there's those things right there. They're probably $1,500 US, not cheap. See if your company will pay for it or reimburse you. Or if you're a member of IAM scholarship program is now usable for certifications.
Good point.
So if you want to get your project management degree, your PMP certification, which would be great from a management, managing large scale projects, especially if you're implementing technology or other things, get your you can get your Six Sigma black belt your project management degree. You can get your GMS, your CRP, all the IAM stuff that they offer. I mean, start adding some credentials after your name.
Exactly.
What
Good
do you
point.
think, Mark?
Couldn't say it better.
Yeah.
How's that for a quick answer?
No, love it. I mean, that's just my thoughts. I love the questions. And I would say keep getting involved here, because getting involved in these shows will start to show you kind of how all the puzzle pieces fit together.
Yeah.
And that's great. And it's not always about what you know or who you know. It's about who knows you. So showing up in the comments here, even though you can't maybe come here and be part of the 1,700 people that are at IAM, are still a great way to network.
And that's a good thing. I just attended a membership rebranding thing for the IAM, and they're talking about they're trying to get their members to participate more and to be part of the decision making as to the direction of the organization. I think that's fine. Participation, stepping up, is an important key.
Love it. Hit that like button. Mark, you want to leave us maybe with just a final thought?
Ben, I've been waiting to be on your program for ever since you started it. This is a red letter day for me. I'm glad you're in Atlanta. I'm glad I could attend. I appreciate the invite. You have uplifted everybody in the profession. I'm serious, because everybody talks about your Glomo and your broadcast. It's an honor to be here, young man.
Mark, thank you so much. And let's do it again, because talent's where it's at. We don't have companies without people, right?
You got it. Thanks so much.
So thank you so much, Mark Gray, Mover Search Group, for being here and sponsoring here at the IAM show as well. Oh my gosh, look at this. And DeMarie Krell says, hoping to find employment in the relocation industry again. I enjoyed it a great deal. Awesome. I hope you